What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. I'm buzzing to be back, and this one is the Canadian Grand Prix. We're going to try and make amends for what happened the last episode. If you guys did not see it, be sure to go check it out. If you guys did see it, you would see that I put it into the wall at Azerbaijan after breaking my front wing, especially as it was such a good race for us as well. It was going so well. We looked like we had a chance at points at the time, and even when we broke that front wing, we had time to come in the pits, change our wing, put on the soft tyres because the safety car did come out. So our race wasn't over then. It's just we went too fast into the S's, and I just locked up the brakes, forgot to really brake, and that was all she wrote. So that was a disappointing day at the office for us, but we're going to move on into Canada. I do like Canada. It is a good track for me, but it is a place where I can spin out for sure. There's a couple of certain sections where you don't get enough grip coming out the corners, and it is very scary. You've got to be careful around here, but it is a track I'm fast around, so I am looking forward to this one. You can see we're coming into qualifying right now. Gunther Steiner giving me a few words of encouragement before we head on out. And coming on into the pits, you can see out in the skies, it is looking a bit dark. So we're going to see if we can get out pretty early. Make sure we get a lap in, just in case a few droplets get on the track. And then you're not going to be able to improve from there on out. So here we go, starting our first lap. A little wide at turn 1. But this is one of the corners where you've got to be careful coming out of. You go on that throttle too fast through there, your car's just going to spin. You're just going to lose that rear end. So through the first sector, it's actually a pretty solid first sector, especially for our first lap. But coming into this corner, we just lock up that front right, and we just can't. That, for me, is one of the hardest corners around here. I just can't seem to swing it in at the right time. So we obviously have to back off in that lap, and we're going to go again. And we're going to see if we can improve on this first sector, which I thought was very good last time. And coming out that turn, it's a little slow. We don't get the same traction that we got last time, and we're about half a tenth down on our time. So it's not bad, but we're kind of almost doing exactly what we did before. We just got to improve the middle sector, and then obviously the final sector, and we'll get a time on the board, because that's what we're looking at here. Especially as long as we're beating our teammate, and then a couple, maybe the Alfa Romeos and Williams, and maybe we could get the Q2 for the first time in our career. And you can see through there it's a lot better. Obviously we didn't lock up, so we are going to get a time on the board. Seeing the delta at -5, 5.5 doesn't really help me at this stage, but it just makes me feel good about myself knowing that I managed to actually get through the corner this time. So we are on a pretty good lap. I feel like it's a good lap. And coming up into the chicane, this is the last thing we've got to do on this lap, and we do take it a little easier. You know, we played it safe. We made sure not to get track limits. We made sure just to get a time on the board, and you can see we're only 2 tenths off of the Alfa Romeo, and there is definitely 2 tenths to find. So that's not only 2 tenths off the Alfa Romeo, that's about 2 tenths away from a potential Q2 appearance, which we are yet to get this season. But we have been very close. You can see we're losing it all in Sector 3. So if we break about 20-30 yards later in that final straight, we could honestly gain 2-3 tenths just there, because I definitely broke way too early. So coming through Sector 1 and 2, we're going to try and make it a little bit better. And you can see the grip we're getting out of there is a lot better than the first time. Obviously, the track is ramping up a little bit, so we are going to find a little more grip than we had in our first lap. And we're already a second and a half up. So this is a fantastic start for us, knowing that we have bags of time to gain at that final chicane. A little slow through there, not as good as before, but we are still up on our previous time, which is always a bonus. And coming through here, can we do it nice and clean? We do. So we get that done. So we are around the same time, but again, we have about 3 tenths, I believe, to gain in that final chicane. And coming down into the hairpin, we've got to keep it nice and tight. And now we're going to try and get on the throttle as early as possible. But no, we lose the back end as we try and get on the throttle. And that ends our qualifying session. and it's frustrating because there was time to gain in that final chicane. Everybody else gains, and we ended up being 4 tenths away from a potential Q2 appearance, and we dropped all the way down to P19 with our teammate in P20. So not the best performance in qualifying, especially as we had more time in us. But because this happened, we're going to probably take some engine penalties. You can see here it's going to be raining at the end of the race, so there's a bit of a confidence boost. There's a bit of a throws a bit of a spanner in the works for the top teams and gives us a chance. But like I said, we're going to take the penalties for this race, starting P19 or P20 isn't much of a difference, and if we get the penalties in now, later on in the season when the other teams are taking the penalties, we're going to be moving up the grid. So anyway, we're going to get ready for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world, and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Carlos Sainz, and Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, and Esteban Ocon, Tsunoda, Vettel, Lance Stroll, and Leclerc. They've taken a grid penalty. Raikkonen, Russell, Nikita Mazepin, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Latifi, and Stevens. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So there you have it. We're going to be starting P20 with Giovinazzi and Latifi also taking penalties. So that's going to boost our teammate up into P17. So if we didn't take penalties, we would actually be starting in P17. But it probably wasn't worth it really. So we'll make sure we get those penalties. And later on in the season we can benefit from it. But obviously we're going to start on the alternate strategy. With knowing that the rain is coming later in the race, I think I might try and push these mediums for as long as possible and then put on a pair of softs. Or if the rain comes a little earlier than expected, put on the mediums and try and make them last until the changeable weather. So it's either, for me, it's either mediums and then the rain, or mediums softs. Because obviously you want to be on that softer compound tyre when the rain does come. And you can see there, I'm doing it medium, 2 softs. But I do think I can make these mediums last a little longer than what it's telling me. Obviously they'll be well and truly dead by lap 20 if I did try and make it last that long. But the soft tyres I could use, and being on a softer compound would be very advantageous. But here we are, 5 red lights, and away we go in the Canadian Grand Prix, and we actually get a decent start next to Nicholas Latifi, who's on the inside, and we're going to follow up Giovinazzi. We're going to get a bit pinched in the inside, and oh my gosh, we almost go straight into the bag of Giovinazzi, and that was almost all she wrote in the very first corner. But we get up the inside of the Alfa Romeo, and what can we do here? We're up in the P19 on the medium tyres. We can't get the same traction that Giovinazzi can, so he's going to get back ahead of us, and we're going to see if we can find a way through, especially as he's getting held up by our teammate and Kimi Räikkönen up ahead. So our teammate actually made a move up the outside of Kimi Räikkönen. Now we're going to go up the inside of Räikkönen's teammate, and we're going to get that move done, and we're up in the P18, so we've got 2 positions in the first half a lap, which isn't a bad start. Our teammate stays in P17, and we're going to try and get past him as soon as possible, because we know his race pace just isn't up there like ours. So we're going to try and make that move, and coming into the hairpin, we know that's where a lot of cars get held up, so we're going to go down the inside of our teammate. We're going to make the move stick, and you can see we're already out into P17, so we're moving up in this race very nicely indeed already. And if we can keep moving up these spots and in time the pit window for when the rain comes, we actually could have a chance at points in this race. And we haven't had points since Imola. Obviously it's very difficult to get points in this car, and we have to make most of these times when the rain hits or when safety cars happen, because if we can make the most of that, we have a chance at getting points in these races, and we have a chance at staying in 8th in the Constructors, which is the main goal, to beat Alfa Romeo and Williams this season. And you can see we've pulled a little bit of a gap away from our teammate from behind. And on lap 4, we're going to have a go at this Alfa Romeo. We're going to see if we can get a better exit coming out. That's why we went a little deeper. And we do get a good exit. We're only 2 tenths behind Kimi Räikkönen. Now we're going to have a go at the Alfa Romeo using all our ERS and the DRS. Can we make a move up into P16? He doesn't defend. We go down the inside. We're almost side by side with him coming into the chicane. This is a move that should work, and it does work. So up into P16, this has been a fantastic start. In a couple laps, the softs are also going to start to die. And you can see up ahead, Russell going past Vettel, and that is because Sebastian Vettel does have a problem with his car. So he is very slow right now. He's even slower than us, a lot slower than us. So we're going to try and get Sebastian Vettel as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will hold us up, because you can see already. Look at that Williams. He's driving away in the distance from the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin is much faster. So we're going to see if we can get Sebastian Vettel down this next DRS straight, so we don't have to be stuck behind him any longer than we want to be. And we're going to have a go at Sebastian Vettel. He's going to go defensive, but we're going to find the inside line, and we get it done. What a move that is. Down the inside of the Aston Martin. Yes, he had an engine problem, but that's still a good move. Finding that car's width down the inside, making sure we get that done. And you can hear Jeff getting all excited now that we're in P15. And our goal is now to stay with Russell until his tyres wear out, which we have done exactly that. And now on lap 7, this is when the softs are going to start to lose a bit of grip. They're not a very good race tyre that round here. They do degrade very quickly. So we've got the DRS on George Russell. We're going to try to stick as close as possible with him, and you can see we're going to have this little camera switch to the front wing, and this is when you know something's going to happen. We're going to try and get as close as we can to the Williams driver before the next straight. He will not have DRS, we will, so we're going to use our DRS and our ERS to try and get past him down this next straight. We're about half a second behind. What can we do here? The DRS is open. You can see the speed that we're going to have down the main straight with a slipstream from behind. And we have absolutely flew past the Williams driver. We're going to get the move done before the chicane. So we managed to get that move done very early on. And you can see this is a beautiful angle. I do love this angle. You guys know how much I love this angle. But that's up into P14 ahead of the Williams driver. And we are flying. We're only 5 seconds behind the Ferrari up ahead and the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll. And you can see the yellow flag. Something's happened. And I think, is that a Ferrari? It's a Ferrari going slow. So that's Charles Leclerc out of the race. So that's another position for us. That's P13. And everything is working out for us so far this race. P13 so far. No one's had a pit stop. And we're on the medium tyre. This couldn't be any better for us. And to only be 6 seconds behind the cars in front, it's very good as well. Because if the rain does hit, and we make it at the right time, we can make up those 6 seconds easily. Because running on a wet track on dry tyres, if you make that switch at the perfect time, you're gonna be seconds faster than other people. I've had it before where I've gained 10, 15, 20 seconds just because I make that pit stop that lap earlier, you know. But if you pit too early, it's also going to screw you over. So we've got to be very careful with when we're going to pit, and you can see we're going to skip 9 laps forward because now it's going to get interesting. We just had 9 laps of constant, constant quality laps. But now lap 18, this is when we start to begin to worry about the weather.
Rain is inbound, and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes.
So there you hear it from Jeff. 5 minutes. 5 minutes until we're going to get rain, and he's keep talking, he's telling me everything, but we've got 5 minutes until we're going to get rain, so we're going to keep pushing on these medium tyres. But at this decision, these tyres are dead, so we've got to make a decision. Do we pit? Do we stay out? We're going to pit onto the softer tyres, and this is a decision based on the soft tyres. They'll probably last around 6-7 laps before they start to lose performance. You'll see the performance drop. But also when the rain comes, you want to be on that softer tyre compound. If I'm on 60%, 70% worn mediums, it's going to be awful for me. I'm going to be all over the place. I'm going to lose so much time there. So I think this was a good decision. Coming out the pits, you can see I am in dead last, and this is just on the basis that I was holding out on those mediums for so long. But these guys are going to be on worn down mediums. So Mazepin, Latifi, Vettel. I'm not sure about how quickly I can get Vettel, but Mazepin and Latifi, I've got to be able to get past real quick. I'm going to be at least a second faster than both of them per lap. So you can see already we're closing that gap. We've already closed a second on Mazepin. So down the next straight is when we're going to want to get him. Obviously he had DRS down then, so he pulled away a little bit, but we're using all that ERS just to catch up to him, just to get past him, because being stuck behind these two cars will not be helpful for us at all. We're going to brake late into the hairpin, and now we're going to make sure we get a good exit. Better traction on these tyres, and we do get better traction coming out with 3/10 up on our teammate. And now we're going to go against our teammate. Usually they would have team orders, let him by, he is faster, but Mazepin will not do that. We're going to go for a move down the inside. He makes us go very narrow, and he's going to have to go over the orange bumps. That's not going to be good for his car. Should have just let me pass, but we do get the move done without making any contact with our teammate, so I guess that's a good thing. And a lap later we're right on the tail of Nicholas Latifi. Same thing, we're going to go into the hairpin, brake really late, and now this is going to be a very easy move. Look how close we are to the Williams driver. We're going to use our ERS and our DRS just to make sure we get the move done. Turn off the ERS because we see we have the pace down the inside. We're going to get it done into the chicane, and that's another move. We do make a slight touch with the Williams driver as we moved over to the left, thinking that he was giving us more room. I think it was a little bit of a wheel bang, but thankfully nothing major happened.
It's your choice as to whether you want to fit the wets next time you come in.
And you can hear there from Jeff, there is a bit of rain coming on the track, and I can see it on my visor now on the screen. You can see there's raindrops coming on, so I'm losing my braking points. You just see there, I'm braking way too late. I have to brake almost 50 yards earlier, and it's just about adapting to this wet weather.
Deteriorating for 10 minutes at least. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
There you go, Jeff's still telling me dries. I'm going to stop talking when I go into the weather report, because this is very important for our race. Do we pit? Do we stay out another lap? This is what it's going to be for the next couple laps if I do decide to stay out. It doesn't look like it's wet enough for inters yet, but this rain is coming down pretty hard. You can see all the water droplets on my visor, and I'm thinking, do I take the risk? Do I come in? No, I stay out another lap. It is not wet enough yet, and it is a good decision to stay out the other lap because these softs are still working.
Conditions are going to keep deteriorating for 10 minutes at least. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
And you can see Jeff still telling me dries are the fastest tyre, but I can feel how difficult it is out there. I know it's getting tougher, and you can see the ground, it does look like it's getting wetter. So I am going to make a bold decision here. I'm going to go in and pit for the intermediate tyres because we have to do something different. We have to do something different to everybody else on the track. And you can see as I'm coming in, I'm like, this looks wet. This looks like intermediate conditions. And the second half of that lap, it was feeling more towards it. So in the 20 seconds that we're in the pit stop, it's only going to get worse. And this is only going to be better for us. Latifi and our teammate behind decide to stay out. So obviously I'm a little worried. If we've pitted too early, it's race over for us. Okay, it's over. If we've pitted at the perfect time, it's game on. And I can see the race leader behind me coming in for intermediate tyres. This is the best decision we have made all race. And coming out onto the track, it is clearly intermediate tyres. The Red Bull and the Mercedes have stayed out. It's intermediate tyres. We've made a fantastic decision. We're going to be seconds faster than the people ahead of us. But Hamilton is out. Hamilton is out of the session. And the worst possible scenario has just happened for us. A safety car has came out right after we pit onto the inters, and we were going to be seconds ahead of cars ahead of us. And we're going to see what happened to Hamilton. He came out the chicane and he just lost the rear end on those dry tyres. It was not dry tyre weather. He should have pit, and that has cost us. That has really cost us a potential at points, because we were going to be at least 5 seconds quicker than the cars ahead, maybe even 10. These intermediates was the perfect tyre at that time, and those mediums would not have worked. So I am absolutely devastated, because it would have been interesting to see where we could get. And now I'm debating, do I go to inters or wets, hoping the rain's going to be heavier. And we're going to go into the wet tyres because we're at the very back of the grid now. Staying on the inters, we're not really going to be able to move anywhere. So we're going to take another gamble onto the wets because of the safety car, just to see if it would work. If it doesn't, what's going to happen? We're staying out the points just like we would have anyway if we stayed on the inters. So we're going to come out the pits. We're going to hope it rains a little bit heavier, especially on this last lap. And I'm coming out the pits, I can already feel there is no grip. There is nowhere near the same amount of grip on the inters, and this is a big mistake. And we're coming up here, and you can just see we've already lost the car. straight out of the pit lane. Very frustrating, and that's our race over right there. And it just sucks for us. We came in, we pitted for another set of inters, but I'm going to show you the last lap around. We're going to get lapped on this final lap because I just don't want to do the last lap, so I'm going to slow down. But it's very frustrating because if Hamilton doesn't crash, this is a whole different race. We're talking top 10 for sure with the pace we were going to have in that lap. We pit at the perfect time. It was a fantastic strategy call, and then Hamilton binned it on the way out of that chicane. But we're going to finish the race. We're not going to DNF. We're going to get those extra resource points, make sure we do everything we can to finish the race. Obviously, you see we slow down coming out of the chicane just so we can let Bottas, who's going to win the race, we're going to let him past, and then we're going to finish after him so we don't have to do another lap around. I guess it helps the engine a little bit, but also I just didn't want to drive around for another 2 minutes knowing that I'm in dead last when I had a chance at top 10 if it wasn't for the safety car. But it is what it is. It was a fun, exciting race, and I guess well done to Bottas for winning the Canadian Grand Prix in the wet.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and had the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So there you have it, P18 in the race, our teammate getting P17. I think that's one of the first times he's beaten us this season. Obviously when we DNF'd in Azerbaijan, so did our teammate. So I think this might be the first time he's beaten us in this season. Disappointing result, especially with what could have happened. Valtteri Bottas winning the race with the two Red Bull drivers just behind. So I think Red Bull are running away with the constructors at this point. As we move on to the driver standings, obviously still on 6 points, down in 14th. I say down in 14th. It's a lot better than Alfa Romeo and Williams drivers, and we're even beating the Alpine of Esteban Ocon. So it's a good start to the season. If you forget about the last two races. Constructor standings, we're still 8th. We're still doing what we need to do. 8th is the goal for the season, ahead of Alfa Romeo and Williams. So we're doing exactly what we need to do, and we just need to keep pushing on in the next couple of races. But anyway, I'll catch you guys later, and peace.